You're gonna be Superman. I said, yeah, that's a weird question to say yes to, but yeah, 4 weeks turned into 8 years, which is a little crazy. I would love to. I would work on anything with Bitsie again. We have way too much fun. Very honored to be a part of that legacy. You know, a lot of amazing people have played that character, so a lot of admiration for them and what they've done. And yeah, just great. Always very humbled to be a piece of it. You know, it's been here. Character's been around a long time before I was ever here, and it will continue long after I'm gone. And so it's always nice to feel like a part of something that's so much bigger than yourself and doesn't get, you know, any more exemplified than that. So. Yeah, it was very surreal, very surreal. I was driving with my brother home from a road trip and found out that it was actually going to happen. And so I hung up the phone call and he's like, so you're going to be Superman. I said, yeah, that's a weird question to say yes to, but yeah. And so it was a very surreal moment. Really enjoyed working with Melissa. I was lucky enough to know her a little bit before we did the show, so before I was on her show. And yeah, really enjoyed that experience of being there to, you know, as a supporting actor and, you know, supporting the story they were telling and, you know, what that evolved into. And then, you know, yeah, being able to explore Lois and Clark's lives a little bit more intimately and deeply with the series of their own, which was really special, and definitely not something I would have predicted at the beginning of it. It really was just going to be a couple episodes, and that was it. So yes, I would say, I wouldn't even say 8 weeks. I would say 4 weeks turned into 8 years, which is a little crazy, but enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah, I think it's a more established Superman. So it's, you know, it's not an origin story for him. So I think what I really enjoyed about that was that it always felt like the origin story of the children and them figuring out who they were, and Lois and Clark trying to figure out how to guide them in that process. And so, you know, they're still discovering things about themselves as parents and as partners to each other, but I think there's more stability, I think, in the sense of who they were and a comfortability with who they are. So I really enjoyed that and enjoyed the challenge of trying to guide these young men into becoming whoever they were. I would say that I knew it was one of the potential endings. I don't know if I would say necessarily surprised. There were a couple other ideas, but I'm very grateful for the fact that I think what the writers did was very brave and very brilliant. And you know, everything I've heard from everybody is overwhelmingly positive response to it, which is really special because I mean, wrapping up a show is incredibly difficult to do. Even if you, I mean, there's shows out there that people loved for a very long time and they weren't happy with the ending. So we're always very aware of that. But I think they did a beautiful job of wrapping up the storylines and giving the fans, I think, a lot of closure with each character. So yeah, I was really proud of that. And there was a lot of restrictions in the final season and challenges that the writers and showrunners had to deal with. And I think they did a brilliant job navigating that. So I would say if it's a show you're considering binging, I think it's worth a binge. You'll be satisfied, I think, at the end. Oh, I would love to. I would work on anything with Bitsie again. We have way too much fun. That's the only problem. We have way too much fun. I could not have been luckier in who I had as my Lois Lane. She's brilliant. She's a fantastic actress. Yes, anything that Bitsie is doing, there's an opportunity for it. Would love to be there. I want to go so far as to say like influence on the writing, but I would say it was one of, if not the most collaborative television series I've ever been a part of. Todd Helbing, Brent Fletcher, all the writers were very, I think, eager to collaborate. They really felt like this was a project to share, and I think they really trusted, you know, everybody, but specifically Bitsie and I with those characters, and really allowed us to have a voice in discussing the characters and things that were going on. So I appreciate that. Arguably more than anything else on that show was the collaborative process, because these characters, like I said, they've been around for so long and they'll continue on, and so, you know, to not feel like anyone was possessive over them was really special.